Ooh. Hello. I'm a teacher. But for me, the word teacher is too one-sided. I think we as human beings, teachers or what, have got to be prepared to learn, whether it's alongside each other or alongside children, to start again. Because sometimes people think that learning is, for example, when children go to a computer and type. We've got to think more creatively, more inventively. And what I'm going to share with you now is just a few ways that we might bring learning alive. If the aspect of picking up ideas and juggling them is to be expanded, we've got to think about building questioning into our classrooms, into ourselves, into our children. And the whole business of learning, it could be collaborative. For example, using Twitter, one of the most powerful ways that myself and my colleague Sarah have used to discover a lot of the things that I'm going to share with you today. Facebook is more looking in, isn't it, on family and friends. Whereas Twitter, I've discovered, is a fantastic way of asking questions, finding out information. And the element of picking up ideas from all around the world is something that we are blessed to do, traveling, working with schools. And if you think about it, when our children come to school, we have to have empathy and understanding. You've turned up to school, you've got your shoes on. All those small aspects, technology cannot be the answer. We have to have affinity and empathy with our children, whatever age and whatever ability. With all of these tools, though, it's not the thing, it's how they're used. And we have to think creatively, inventively, yes, broadly, about a lot of these things. Majority of what I'm going to share with you now, in fact, all of it, is free. That's quite refreshing. However, it's the impact that it can have in our classrooms that is important. If you think about it, when children are outside, they're flying, they're spying, but when they come back in from the playground, can it sometimes be a more stagnant environment in comparison? And are we, without realizing it, putting a cap on what our children can achieve through our lack of expectation, maybe? Technology is not the only answer, but it can have some remarkable effects on getting children to explore, to discover, to research our world. But you can't beat getting them outside. Get scratched by it, pick it up, sniff it, smell it, learn that when you're stung by something, lick it. And all of those things are crucial. And the things that I would love to share with you are no replacement. They are not instead of. They can run alongside. So something like, for example, Runkeeper, a tool that maybe you've used to keep up to your New Year's resolution. It's a fantastic way to get children, when they go off on a school trip, maybe, to record where they've gone, the speed, the height, the elevation, and so much more. But we've also used it in schools in different ways. For example, setting a challenge. With one school, it was built on an Iron Age settlement. And they were thinking about how those folk way back had measured and got right angles. So what they did was go out onto the field and investigate how to draw a perfect equilateral triangle by walking. And when they came back, they could investigate and refine and revise their methods. We cannot expect children or ourselves to go to, yes, Google, and then you get children, very young ones, reading from Wikipedia, going, paradoxically, it says it here in Wikipedia. We've got to explore and invent and discover in interesting ways. One of my favorites, look, Tag Galaxy. If I was now to type in Thessaloniki, it brings in all the interrelated words, a discussion point, a chance to think and talk. Why has it brought it? Sunset, for example. But then, if I combine two of those tags, Thessaloniki and sea, look, and bringing awe and wonder and magic back into our classrooms is essential, isn't it? If we have children who are limited on experiences, something like this, what do your feet feel like upon this track? The questioning, the talk for writing, as it were. Imagine yourselves be here. But then we can go further. Some children are lacking in experiences, inevitably, so why not broaden their chance to explore with something like panoramas? Look, for example, here. Be here as ice on fire runs through my veins. My veins? Well, not my veins, but I can empathize and watch be the nutter who's hanging off that rock. But then be empathy, the nutter who's belaying him down there. But then what would it feel like to be the complete and utter nutter who's hanging off that, taking a full 360-degree virtual reality for us to use in empathy or poetry? Or if you were doing history or geography, you could sit Diana-like at the Taj Mahal, or virtually anywhere, virtually. But then, how about an old tool for us now? If you imagine if we were to organize a school trip from England to Beijing, there'd be an awful lot of sandwiches to pack and an awful lot of forms to fill in. So using something like 360 cities, look, we could take our children again, somewhere that you can almost sense it, scent it. But then, how about coming here? And if you look, we can stand just outside this theater at the White Tower. Maybe you'd prefer to go out and do it for real, but virtually we could take children from somewhere like this, a school which we could explore on Street View, but then maybe we could go even further with Google Treks, where we could investigate things like Scott's Hut or Angkor Wat. It would be impossible to organize a visit, but here may be the talk that can flow from it. There is no replacement, though, for getting them outside. So how about making your own virtual panoramas? And you can do so easily with something like photosynth. You just stand in a site and you take your pictures, and photosynth automatically strings them together and makes you a virtual experience. We were there a week early because I think Pope Tim sounds rather good. Love it. How about making your own mini planets as a next step? These things, they're called stereographic images. And with stereographic worlds as well, and something like this, Street View stereographic, you could perhaps investigate what would it feel like to make your way hedgehog-like towards this school, but then change the angle of the dangle, and you can make your own gorgeous, globular delight to discuss what would it feel like to land here, alien-like, upon this place. Love it. Why? We have to think all of this is the discussion, the talk, the interest. You might use images, you might try sound. For example, I could take you here. I could take you anywhere using the nature sound map. To a small beach, to a pond somewhere. What about making your own ambient soundtracks, though, as a next step? And this could be fantastic for things like a piece of descriptive narrative, maybe setting the atmosphere within a room, discussion, talk, so much more. For me, most definitely, one of the most powerful ways to inspire, engage, and motivate children is the use of games. Games have been with us since the dawn of time, whether it's out on the playground or it's virtual. So what we've been exploring are things like these virtual worlds, peaceful, engaging places. But instead of running through them, it's so important to stand still, to think, to wonder, to write it. For example, what does it feel? Hang on. Wind chimes? That's strange. They'd have to be hanging off something. And then we can look around. Turning, comma. I found myself standing in what appeared to be a greenhouse, dripping with every green imaginable. A door! Do you want to go through the door? Shall we? Shall we? I'm sorry, folks. I wish I had more than 18 minutes. But we could, and we can do so virtually, for example, using green screening. Wouldn't it be great if we could go and sit on that bench? But it's not the experience, it's the words alongside it.
Taking one last look at this beautiful room, I gently leave like wind passing through leaves, never to return.
Lovely. But if you think about it, if all we end up with after all these experiences, oh, they loved it, and we got some lovely pictures, that's not enough, is it? We have to get into thinking and wondering and questioning and knowing what to do when they don't know what to do. Bringing images alive in fascinating ways, I think, means that you get something static turning into an investigatable, explorable, intriguing experience like this, look. Be here. Any hot spot that we put onto this picture could link to a video, to a sound, or something else. You might say, my children can't do this, Tim, because they speak multiple languages. Well, how about using something like Nice Translator then, which translates a phrase, a word, simultaneously into multiple languages. My children can't read it. Well, try a text-to-speech thing. This might not be...
No te preocupes, ya viene tu mamá.
the most reassuring of voices I've ever heard, but at least it's convincing. In planning this talk, I decided as well that we would go digital and use spicy nodes to tidy things up. But a great way for children and for us may be to plan and potentially to present from it. For example, this wordplay link might go off to something like Tuxedo, which takes the Wordle concept and gets audacious. Look, watch and wonder. Oh, hover over any word. Oh, and it takes you to that word, and then click on it, and it will take you to a Google search related to that piece of vocabulary. Stunning. Picking up words and juggling them is something that we need to get children to do when maybe they're talking about something they've studied, like here, the life of Mr. Lennon. He lived as a songwriter, and originally, you get the idea. Picking up these ideas can start early. For example, this would be right-clicking on a word in Word. Snappy Words brings you all the interrelated vocabulary and the relationship between them. Hover over it, and it gives you a dictionary definition. Words are malleable, draggable, joyous resources. But all of these things have to get children, boys and girls, past that "I don't know what to write" stage. And if you think about it, if we can open up this world in interesting ways, the most powerful one, most definitely, would be getting children to blog. The safest place for children to write. You moderate what goes out, and you moderate what comes back in. But it gives an instant global audience and opens up the walls of our schools. A safe, engaging, and motivating place to write, most definitely. And we have to think about bringing in, through this incredible day and age, the ideas, the thoughts, the comments from those from afar. Who knew that we would be living in the future now? I've been using PowerPoint. I hope it didn't look like it. However, who knows what's going to happen? If we, in schools or in our general lives, just constantly stare at something in the distance without thinking about interacting with our children, we're going to end up with our backs to their future. All of these things I'm sharing are no replacement for getting in, muck in, model, write, scribe, be involved in any way possible. We also have to make sure that we don't rush from one thing to then, oh, I found something new, to take our time. In the end as well, it's not what they use, it's what they say rather than what they use to say it. Ladies and gentlemen, I hope that you might go and try one or two of these things. We put the links on our blog, and maybe you might go for a wander in some of these virtual places too. Thank you.